President Trump's big, beautiful bill has made it through the House, and now it sits in the U.S. Senate as the civil war in Sudan rages on without much attention from the rest of the world. Joining me now to weigh in on these stories and more, please welcome U.S. Congressman from New Jersey, senior member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Chris Smith. Congressman, thank you for being here. I want to begin with that so-called big, beautiful spending bill that made it through the House. We're being told that the bill makes no changes to Medicaid or Social Security, but includes provisions to protect both from rampant fraud and abuse with work requirements, etc. Does it? Does it fulfill that promise?
It does, and it was done painstakingly by the House majority and with the president's full concurrence. So I want to thank the Speaker especially for his leadership on this. But, you know, my Governor Murphy, was in Lakewood, New Jersey, and just given false information about what it does to Medicaid. This is happening everywhere. They have people who claim they're going to lose their Medicaid benefits who are in wheelchairs or are disabled. Absolutely untrue. What it does is say that an able-bodied person, with huge exceptions for women with small children, pregnant women, the elderly, anybody over 64. We're looking at somebody who should do some either work or community service 20 hours a week to get Medicaid. We did it with food stamps back during the Clinton years, and amazingly, he signed it into law. Workfare is a very good thing, and that's what they're objecting to. What I find so appalling is the lack of truth in these charges that are being made, and it just happened last Friday in my own district with Governor Murphy.
Well, I'm glad you're here to set the record straight. Congressman, we all know the national debt is staggering, $36 trillion, and growing by the minute. I know there's talk among senators of making even deeper cuts to this bill. Will a bill with deeper cuts pass the House, or do you just fix it in reconciliation?
Well, I think reconciliation is for mandatory spending. It's not the only vehicle that can help mitigate our debt. I can't believe that some people think that that's the case. And there's a huge amount. I mean, we need to continue the $4 trillion in tax cuts, which, if they go away, we will have the largest tax increase in the history of the United States. And I say to my Democratic friends, every one of whom voted against it, you just voted for the biggest tax increase ever. On average, 22% tax increase beginning at the end of this calendar year. So December 31st goes into January, biggest tax increase ever. And I'm just shocked at that. Now, in terms of deficit reduction, you can't do it in a single bill or even in a single year. Biden, unfortunately, spent money like I've never seen before. Taking some of that back, clawing it back, needs to be done, and we're doing it. But it doesn't happen overnight. And this is not the only vehicle. Plus, we want to safeguard Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Part of the reason why we have such huge expenses for Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, it's a good news story. People are living longer. So the amount of money that's needed to pay those benefits has increased significantly over the years. So I think it's a great news story. We just need to have to find ways elsewhere of finding where we can slow the rate of growth.
Congressman, one of the president's campaign promises, no tax on tips, overtime pay, and car loan interest, that was addressed in the bill. And the bill would also extend, as you mentioned, those Trump tax cuts from 2017. The Congressional Budget Office says it will add $2.4 trillion to the national debt over a decade. Will it?
I don't think it will, and the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, has gotten it wrong so many times when they project what the activity will be in our economy. They just don't seem, if we don't have the tax cuts, we're going to lose a lot of revenue because it will hamper economic growth very significantly. So I take it all with a grain of salt. For years, this reliance on CBO has been baffling to me because they get it wrong so often. So I hope that people will look at that and say, okay, take that into consideration. But frankly, we want a pro-growth economy and laws and policies that reflect that so that people want to work, can work, and keep more of their hard-earned money. And that's exactly what will happen.
creator of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, Elon Musk, had some harsh words for the bill this week. He called it a disgusting abomination in a series of ex-posts, and he said the bill's going to explode the already massive budget deficit. As we all know, Musk issued criticisms after exiting the administration. Congressman, your thoughts on what the always unpredictable Musk said, and why do these bills always contain so much pork in them?
Well, there's not pork the way most people think of it in this bill. I mean, the tax cuts tax cuts on tips, and especially, the PBA and all the police organizations have endorsed the bill because overtime will not be taxed anymore. And I think that's a huge win for the men and women in uniform, the firefighters, the police, and they've endorsed the bill because they know that this, their rank and file work very hard to keep us safe. They don't get paid enough. Many of them do overtime to make ends meet for their family and to meet a very real need that's out there in terms of public safety. Thankfully, Trump's promise on that is being delivered in the House-passed bill. So I think that's a tremendous thing. Now, if that's pork, I'll have that kind of pork any day of the week. I don't see the pork that is usually just, add-ons that are, the bridge to nowhere type of things. That's not in here.
Mm-hmm. Other critics of the big, beautiful bill say the legislation makes outsized cuts to important programs dealing with health and nutrition, education, clean energy, to cover the cost of the bill. How do you address those concerns?
Well, I think they need to delineate exactly how that's happening because they've been lying like crazy about the cuts in Medicaid. And frankly, I'm fed up. I've been here 45 years. I'm so tired of the false narrative promulgated by the Democratic Party every single year. Back in Reagan's year, they were saying that save Social Security, vote Democratic. When Reagan's people said, the sustainability is that we need to look at some reform. And those reforms went into effect years after they got their ounce of political flesh at the ballot box. They exaggerate, they lie, and I think people have to start taking what they say with an absolute grain of salt. Now, in terms of the green energy deal, I hope that the ocean wind development ends. I've been fighting it along my coast. Not only will it eviscerate the environment for our the whales and the dolphins and everything under the sea and destroy the fishing industry for the United States on the East Coast where these things go up. I mean, these poles are so high, the size of the Chrysler building and higher. The wingspan is, each one of the wings of the propellers is the size of a football field. And there's unbelievably amount of documentation that says beyond a shred of a doubt it will disrupt radar. So our planes and our vessels will have radar distorted and they won't see where they're going. And as you know, just recently, Newark Airport closed down, 3 times and counting, because of a faulty wiring situation that malaffected the radar. This will do it in spades. National Academy of Sciences did a report in 2022, and they said not only will it ruin radar, and you'll see things on the screen that aren't there, but it'll, even worse, it will, people won't even know you're there. Next thing you know, a jet will hit another jet because they didn't know it was there.
I'm glad you brought that up because this affects New Jersey directly. There's a proposed $12.5 billion infusion to the FAA to modernize the air traffic control system. You mentioned Newark, and that's been in the news for weeks due to the air traffic control issues. Congressman, here's my question. Is this enough to fix what ails air travel today and what ails airports in your own district?
Well, I think this will go a long way. The neglect that has been shown over the course of decades for air traffic control and all of that is beyond words disturbing. So, for the safety of the flying public and the public that's out on boats, we got to make sure that radar and other capabilities are absolutely world class. And frankly, they're not. And they will go demonstrably worse if ocean wind development continues. It's a false promise that somehow this is going to deliver on mitigating global warming and things like that. These things, and here's something nobody talks about. 2 things. They will not survive hurricanes. We get them on the East Coast. Category 3, one study said a half of them will topple. but also after 15 to 20 years, every one of them will be decommissioned. What are you going to do with that pile of junk that's out there? Who's going to take it out of the sea?
Congressman, there's also a program I want to get to before we run out of time. In the bill,
Sure.
it incentivizes having children with the creation of new so-called Trump saving accounts into which the federal government will deposit $1,000 for every child born between 2024 and 2028. Do you think that's going to help the baby deficit that we have in this country? I mean, we're not at replacement level right now.
Well, I think it will help those who decide they do want to have babies, and we need to be affirming at every chance we get those men and women, those mothers and dads who want to make sure that their kids are well taken care of. And we know that the economy for some has been very, very hard. So I do think while it will not, I don't think the intent is to encourage or discourage having children, but we need to accommodate those who want to have children to the greatest extent possible. We also have in the bill the funding of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has killed 10 million babies in their clinics, about 400,000 every year. Talk about a group that, they're Child Abuse Incorporated. They push the abortion pill, and they deny all of this, especially the recent information about how injurious the abortion pill is to the mother. 10% requiring a very significant interventions, healthcare-wise. So, and they're giving it out like nobody else on the planet. And so we wanted to fund them.
Before we go, I know you've been concerned about this ongoing civil war in Sudan. We've reported on it for many years. Just since 2023, over 18,000 civilian deaths have been reported, with some estimates going as high as 150,000. It's also estimated that between 4 and 10 million have been displaced. The people of Sudan are suffering a genocide, Congressman. Just last month, the Trump administration announced it would impose sanctions on Sudan for the violation of the Chemical and Biological Weapons Control and Warfare Elimination Act of 1991. Now, you co-sponsored that act.
Yes,
Your
I did.
thoughts on these sanctions, and will they have the effect on the horrors we've been seeing in Sudan for decades?
Great question. That legislation did become law, and it's chemical weapons, biological weapons, all of these means of destroying and killing people. They are crimes against humanity, and they're using them. I was very glad that the Trump administration imposed sanctions. I applauded them. I chaired a hearing just a couple weeks ago on this very issue of Sudan. I remember going to Darfur and other places, Khartoum, of course, the capital. And in Darfur, I went to two of the camps there. And at that time, there was a guy named Bashir who was just committing genocide in plain sight.
Right.
Well, it's back. It's back. And the killing of these wonderful Sudanese people is just beyond words. We just have to do far more to try to stop that bloodshed. I do believe there needs to be a special envoy named. In the past, Danforth did a great job, former senator, in trying to stop killing there. But we need the same kind of high level as the ear of our president, who can go and get everybody in front of the talk to try to stop the bloodshed, because it'll just go on in perpetuity otherwise.
Congressman Smith, there was a report this week of 5 people killed in an attack on a UN aid convoy in northern Darfur, where you were just mentioning.
Exactly.
The aid is meant to alleviate a famine in the area. Will anyone be held accountable for this?
I hope, but I wouldn't be too optimistic. Healthcare workers in the field are a very, very brave group of people. And minimally, you would think that warring factions would say, don't touch them. They might be coming to help me or my family. But, it's almost no holds bars. They go after them as well. We've seen that all over the world, including in Sudan.
No, it's a horrendous region that doesn't get nearly the media coverage it deserves. I thank you for staying on it.
But ditto for Nigeria as well. Where more Christians have been killed there than anywhere else in the world, and Muslims, pious Muslims, a close second. The killing by the Fulani and by the Boko Haram and these other terrorist groups has continued. And during the Biden administration, nothing was done. Our Secretary of State then took away most country of particular concern and gave them a free pass which I continue to find appalling.
I hope the Trump administration puts it back on that list
I
of
do too.
countries of particular concern. Congressman Chris Smith, we will leave it there. Thank you for your vigilance, and we will talk to you in the days ahead.
Thank you so much, Raymond. It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you.